Welcome to In Conversation, the Ratio and Ritual podcast. So this conversation serves as a companion to our written interview with today's guest, who I'll introduce in a moment. You can think of it as a short but intimate snippet where we can further explore how my favorite people think, how they live, and what's inspiring them right now. So it's a handful of questions, some reflections, a few rituals. It's kind of like a portal into how they move through the world. So before we dive in, let's introduce today's guest. We have Lauren Haynes. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. I'm as you're saying that and thinking about like moving through the world, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I moved through the world like such a like not train wreck, but so chaotically right now, but we'll get into it. So, cheers to that.
Lots of change. It's the season of change, isn't it? Wasn't it the
It
year of the
is.
snake? Did I make that up? Shedding
No,
skin and renewal.
that's right. And the
Oh,
hermit.
yeah.
So it's all about just kind of like realigning and like shedding all the things that you've like picked up along the way. And then next year is supposed to be obviously completely different, but
What is it the year of? I can't remember.
oh gosh, it's the year of the horse
Ooh,
in
pretty cool.
Chinese culture. Yeah.
So let's dive in. But first, actually, would you share a little bit about yourself to kick us off? Kind of whatever you think people should know about you. Maybe they didn't even read the written piece. So a little
Mhm.
quick background, and then we'll do some catch up and dive in.
I'm one of Patrick's favorite people.
That's all you really
I,
need to know, right?
yeah, that's why we're here. But no, I'm an herbalist. I'm a plant person. I founded a company 11 years ago called Wooden Spoon Herbs. And so I do work in the world as an herbalist, as a product formulator, and as someone who's built a brand over the past decade plus of my life. I'm 36, so it's been like the better part of my adult life. And I live in Napa, California, which I've only been here since the summer, so about 4 months, and I'm getting to know that. But I've been in the Bay Area for 2 years and moved out from Tennessee, where I'm from, like generationally from. So it's been like
Mhm.
a huge settling period of time for me and transition with the business.
You
So
feel like a
yeah,
natural Californian. I can't believe you haven't been here your whole life. But also 2 years is
thanks.
crazy because I don't think I've seen you in 2 years. I saw you when you were
Yeah,
visiting
you saw
before the
me right before
move.
I moved.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Well, we got to change that.
I
But
know.
actually, before we get into like the questions I had, are we officially wedding buddies too? Like, what's your date?
Yes, we are in the same
Okay.
month. We're the 31st of May, and you
Okay,
guys are the
cool.
16th, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And yours
Yep.
is going to be up in Northern California?
It is. Yep. Yep.
But I'm really excited for you.
The
It's like a new
coordinates.
season in every possible way for Lauren, and we're here for it because we love her. So let's jump in. How would you explain herbalism to a newcomer? Maybe they've heard the term, but this can feel a little daunting, or like, what the hell is that? So what would be your kind of layperson's explanation of what it all means?
I herbalism is really just understanding and being curious about how plants affect our human physiology. So I always start with the example of like coffee and cigarettes, right? Because I think they're very pervasive in our culture. And so we all can experience that. Coffee makes you feel super energized. And then on the other side, it makes you feel jittery, right? So plants can affect us in all these different and simultaneous ways. And cigarettes, right? They can be a euphoriant, they can be a relaxant, but at the same time, they're going to make your lungs hurt, right? And long term, they're going to cause a lot of oxidation. So plants affect our body, period. Lots of plants in the world are toxic, but so many more plants in the world are medicinal, and that can look like a million different things. Plants can touch every part of our body. Understanding and getting to know how plants affect your body.
So what about like nootropics and adaptogens? Is that kind of like under the umbrella of herbalism, or is that more of like a different approach or modality? How does that fit into the mix?
No, and I love it because these really trendy things like nootropics, which are herbs that help the brain, and adaptogens, which are herbs that help the body adjust to stress, are really great like entryway
Mhm.
to herbalism at large. So like both of those are herbal categories, so they fall under practicing herbalism, period. And they're just two categories of herbs, and there are other categories of herbs like hepatoprotectives or diuretics or
Mhm.
nervines,
Mhm.
so it's really exciting to hear
Yeah.
people start to get familiar with them.
And there's such a rich tradition of maybe it wasn't called herbalism, but thinking about like TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, and Ayurveda. So like, what's your approach? Like, what's your lens or your unique POV in terms of approaching this work?
A couple things. So I was trained in a system called Southern Folk Medicine. So I'm from Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee, like Appalachian roots, and I went to herb school in a really small town in Alabama for 3 years, with a fifth generation herbalist who was also like had a master's of science in health education. So she just was like really great at helping us understand plants and physiology. It really was more of like a naturopathic education, more so than just like herbalism.
Mm.
I really think it's one of the best herb schools in the country. But so she teaches Southern folk medicine, which is kind of an energetic system similar to Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, in that we look at kind of the whole person picture. You know, you're treating the whole person, which zooming out, there's like so much storytelling in the way I approach herbalism. There's obviously the story of the plants and the harvest and the, you know, how you make medicine and the why you make medicine. But there's also the story of the person who is coming to me to get help with herbs, right? There's the story of when the symptoms started, where it came from, what time of day, how it's presenting in the body. Like there's so many puzzle pieces to really understanding how to match the person with the right herb or herbs or protocol. And Southern folk medicine uses, going back to the energetic system, earth, fire, air, water to kind of make these spectrums that you put people on, and then you overlay that kind of with tissue states of like cold,
Mm.
hot, wet, dry.
Almost like doshas.
Exactly. So
Mm.
it's really, really similar to those systems in its approach, but it uses plants that grow in the southeastern US.
Or what's the other constitutional thing? Like phlegmatic. There's like a bunch. I can't think of what that is.
There are a bunch. And so I feel like Southern folk medicine like distilled kind of that European humoral system that's
That's
like
it.
very old with kind of like the West African energetic system. It's like really,
Mm.
really a blend
Yeah.
of all these beautiful medicine systems.
It's cool. There's such a range. Like obviously with a consumer brand, you're not getting as much into like treating pathology. Do you
Mhm.
like miss that clinical approach? Is that something that's still active in your personal practice or like with friends?
Yeah, I miss it a lot, but it's very active with friends and family.
Mhm.
I would say that keeps me busy and keeps that part of my brain active.
And speaking of that, are there like kind of generalists, like best hits that you found have been really powerful for your consumer brand and personal practice? What are some of the like places people should start or things that you just think are like really versatile and useful plants everyone should know about?
Yeah, well, I would even back up beyond
Mm.
plants because I think that's kind of like the approach that I was trained in. And a lot of people who approach the body from like a nutrition first perspective are always going to say like step one is closing nutrient gaps, which like all of us have, all of us are prone to for a million reasons. So that's really where I would start everyone on this kind of like basic five, you know, so multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D, magnesium, and then like miscellaneous thing I can't think of at the moment, but probiotic, right? So it's kind of this like starter kit that
Mm.
everybody is going to benefit from. And that was kind of what I was parlaying, you know, wooden spoon into is like, we're going to have this starter kit where you take this and everybody feels better. But thus far, we've gotten hung up on magnesium because it's just really taken off. But I think when people take magnesium, you see so many symptoms resolve that it really is just kind of my starter number one beyond like way before any herbs come in.
Yeah, I think I've taken like 7 types of magnesium at this point. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of which does what. I think I'm on glycinate now, which
I
is more like
honestly don't believe any of
energy
that.
focused. I don't know. You
I
don't like
don't even.
glycinate?
No, I love glycinate.
Oh,
It's
okay.
fine. I just think that like magnesium, any form of
Magnesium.
magnesium is going to benefit
Good.
everybody. Yeah.
Got it. Well, I need to get back on my wooden spoon herbs, especially the blue, so delish. What about like more emergent? And I know we're like not yet into the kind of whimsical ratio and ritual questions, but you're just so fascinating. I want people to be able to hear your POV on your work as well as your life. So, is there something that's like exciting to you within the space, or like a new tool that you've maybe discovered, or material that you're discovering for the first time that's exciting to you?
Yeah, I think I'm most energized by being able to like get back into actually like making things to your point for people in my community and really just like using plants that grow in Northern California, either like in the yard or gardening them, or there's like a really amazing herbal co-op here called the Sonoma County Herb Exchange,
Mm.
which marries farmers with herbalists to get really fresh, beautiful material. So I'm just kind of excited to get back to my roots, you know, which
Mm.
we talked about in the written portion of the interview, but
Good
making
plug.
medicine, getting people together around learning, that's really what's inspiring me right now.
Amazing. So we'll jump into the ratio and ritual questions. There's kind of a set of questions that we use on the ratio side, which is really about kind of your mindset, wisdom, finding meaning in life. And the ritual side is more about grounding in the sensory and experiential, which I think we need a balance of both to really move through the world meaningfully and find a good sense of direction, purpose, and beauty. So, okay, what's something that's inspiring you right now in a way that you didn't expect?
I've been trying to get 10,000 steps a day. And like, the first few months is such drudgery, but I think like now I look forward to it and I crave it as like a time to get like communications done or a time to think about nothing or a time just to like let things come to me and take notes on them or like listen to a podcast. So that was not on my bingo card, but it's been really beautiful. And I
Yeah.
find myself like obsessively, if I'm like doing chores in my house, I'm like, track these steps, like getting
Like
too
one, two,
obsessive
three,
about
four,
it.
five. Okay. Add it into the
That's what the phone's
calculator.
for.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know people will ask since you brought it up, what are your podcast go-tos?
Oh, right now I'm really, really into season 2 of the telepathy tapes,
Oh my gosh, I'm still on season
unsurprisingly. And
one.
then, ah, okay,
I
well,
know
you're
I
in
need
for
to
a
catch
treat.
up.
Season 2 is like totally different, and I'm engrossed.
I can't wait. Fab. Now ratio and ritual will be your new fave.
Yes.
Um, what's a piece of wisdom that you return to when life starts to feel loud or chaotic?
I mean, I think there is so much wisdom in the very simple trusting the process and taking one day at a time and just like it's so easy to slide into overwhelm and just like see, it's such a gift to be able to see the bigger picture, but it's that makes it super hard to focus on those moments of like, oh, actually, like it's a really beautiful day, even though it feels kind of chaotic. And I think just reframing, I think it was maybe it was even Carrie Lynn. Like I read something she wrote that was just about like starting your day again. And I think that's really good wisdom.
Have
That's
you had
incredible.
any like major perspective shifts? Actually, I would guess a lot with all the changes you've gone through and the way you organize your work and day and life, I'm sure has shifted so much. So what has that felt like, all
Yeah.
these shifts as you've changed the way you move through the world so much?
I feel like more in awe than ever of like the human brain and how much it clings to the familiar. I feel like shifting my work is still such a process. It's been a year now of this transition. I brought on a CEO and I'm not in the operational side of my business on the day to day, but it's just kind it's been so destabilizing, like truly. And I think I obviously like got engaged and moved on top of that. So it's like this huge surge of life changing events. Yeah, I think the destabilizing part is what people don't talk about. And I had another founder who had sold her company warn me. She was like, well, long term it's for the best, but just like no, in the near term future, you're gonna have to face all of those demons you're avoiding. And
Mm.
yeah, it has been like that. So I mean, that's like such juicy work, but it's been like whew, pretty hard.
Has it changed your definition of meaning, personal meaning? Because, like you said, when you're so in the business at
Hmm.
that level, it's kind of like hard to really zoom out, like you said. So what does that look
Hmm.
like for you?
I think it's been a return to what I actually find meaningful,
Mhm.
which I'm so grateful to have the privilege to be able to do because I think like while I was in survival mode, service to the business, it was energizing, right? You have to keep going and so you have to find the energizing pieces of it, but being able to be like, oh, actually I'm gonna like take a day just to spend with my partner or like make sure I can call my mom every day. Like that's actually totally shifted the way my relationships are, the way yeah, just like how I orient completely.
You mentioned leaning on your peers, like a particular founder who is navigating a sales or an exit. As
Mhm.
you've moved through these new phases or entered these new phases, are there like particular books or tools or resources that have helped you navigate or influence the way you shift those philosophies in life and work and love?
Yeah, I think of two people, but I will say just like above books or podcasts or any of that, it's really just like peers who are doing similar things to you. And that can be like in any industry, in any like phase of life, just like, new moms need other new moms, like people who are retired need other people who are retired. But yeah, peers have really gotten me through all of it and made me feel less freaky. I think entrepreneurship is something that's so isolating and like it's hard to relate to if you haven't lived it because it's just a crazy thing to do. And
Mhm.
like it's just this like really weird world that you have to live in where you're just like losing your mind, but your heart's so full and like it's so hard and all consuming. But Holly Howard is a business consultant. She's been doing business consulting for, many, many years, I think 11 years. But she's about to graduate from Harvard Divinity School. She is someone who I think really taught me that business isn't one thing. It doesn't look like any one thing. She really drilled into me that it's a marathon, not a sprint, which like as a young person, I was like, whatever. But like now I'm like, actually, no, this is going to be attached to me for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And that was a huge wake up call. So I think her work has been really inspiring. She has a podcast and a really great newsletter. And then also Trinity Muzan Wofford, who has gold.
Oh yeah.
I've watched her kind of do a really graceful pivot and she was really on my speed dial through the kind of like choppy waters of what do I do? I feel so stuck. What am I going to do through the past year? And so, yeah, they're both just really grounded, thoughtful people who have illustrated what it looks like to move on your own terms.
All right, I want to pivot into the grounding as you brought up feeling more grounded in the sort of sensory aspects of what we're talking about. Some of this you went over already in the written portion, so let's just jump into some of those tiny rituals that maybe make your ordinary day feel a little bit more special. What are some of those things that you're finding solace in?
I've started eating breakfast within an appropriate time frame. That's been a good one. Um, and just having really slow, cozy mornings and like not saving the nice candles for the evening and just like really having tea and like reading a nice book and then not working until like midday when my brain kind of is able to, I've exhausted my creative, vibey mind.
I think in the written
And
piece you said in the mornings your cat's usually there first thing.
oh, well, that's number one first. That's like how I get woken up. It's
What
like
about at
it's
the end
still
of
dark outside and there's like a claw in my eye.
What about at the end of the day? Is the cat there for that ritual as well? Or is there some kind of like end cap or bookmark that you bookend that you put on your closing of your day?
Yeah, cat's usually there, ideally. I always pull before bed, I pull tarot cards for the next day, just like one, and then if it's unclear, I'll do like a few. And I think that's really nice and grounding, and I found that to be a really good guide.
What
And
deck
then
do you
yeah,
use?
I use the mother piece, and since 2020, it's been called into, account for review, I think is just kind of it's like a bunch, it was like a
What hasn't?
yeah, exactly. But I have a soft spot for it and it was the first deck I was ever given and like taught with. So,
Hmm.
and it's very colorful and hand drawn and I love it. So I use
Remember
the
what
mother piece
last
deck and then
night's
I
card was?
it was the sun, so which would
Hmm.
be I don't even remember the deck. It's like King, Queen, Knight. It would be the Knight of Cups. Was her last night, which so yeah, today I feel that. I don't really know how to channel my emotions today, but
You're doing great.
they're they're present. We're living with them. So I do that, and then I also use the Flower Oracle
Hmm.
from Broccoli Publishing, which is beautiful. And then just decompress and like talk it out with my partner and watch a dumb movie and just the usual. I've been reading MFK Fisher How to Eat a Wolf, and that's been really
Hmm.
lovely because she lived in the Napa Valley for most of her, it's a very literary place. She lived in the Napa Valley on and off through her life and like finished her life over in Sonoma. And
Hmm.
so I'm trying to ground into like local authors to help me orient.
How far are you guys from Shasta? That's way farther north, right? That's like above.
Let's say a couple hours. Yeah.
Oh, not that far. I just
Yeah.
watched that cult documentary about the cult in Shasta. What was it called?
Oh, I've heard of it, but I don't
Oh my God,
know.
it's crazy. You have to watch it. It's called Love Has Won.
That documentary is
Um,
wild. The ending
and
just like
that's
freaked me out.
Oh, you did see it. Yeah, with
Hmm.
well, I won't
Yep.
spoil anything. Folks haven't seen it, but there are sleeping bags and very unusual things involved. So worth viewing. Back to more pleasant territory. I picture you guys living up there, like cooking amazing meals, like wild foraging or pulling from your garden. What are your like comfort foods or things